everyone, and welcome back to Liftoff with Jeanniey Walden. I'm your host, Jeanniey Walden. After spending years as a business leader and chief marketing officer of companies whose mission is to forge new paths forward, I realized that creating solutions that improve the way we live is great, but it might not be enough. That's why I'm here, because here on Liftoff, we're going to have some fun with a purpose. We promise to bring you resources that will guide you towards a better life, financial freedom, better mental wellness, a healthier lifestyle, and something that I like to call content filled with air, authentic, inspirational, and relatable conversations. You see, each guest on Liftoff is carefully selected to make sure that the information they share enables you to improve every part of your personal and professional life. Our first guest this episode personifies authentic, inspirational, and relatable. Mr. Ed Begley Jr., Golden Globe and 7-time Emmy nominee environmentalist joins us now. So grateful to have you on the show. Welcome to Liftoff, Ed.
Thank you, Jeannie. It's great to be on with you.
Now, Ed, we have a lot to talk about. Better Call Saul, hugely popular, nominated for Outstanding Ensemble in a Drama Series. Tell us a little bit about what it's been like to work on that show.
Well, I've been a dear friend of Bryan Cranston for years, and because of that friendship, I started watching his wonderful show, Breaking Bad. I didn't need his wonderful friendship to do it. Everybody loved that show, and I was one of them. And I just had this incredible admiration, respect for Peter Gould and Vince Gilligan, who did that great show. Then I started watching Saul, and it was so great. I couldn't believe that lightning could strike twice, with that kind of incredible success and that kind of great artistic excellence. And then I get this call about being in the show. So I was doing backflips. To work with Peter and Vince on this was just a godsend. And I love Bob Odenkirk, and I'm grateful beyond words to have been welcomed into that family.
I think it's amazing, but I also think that you're a pretty amazing man yourself, and definitely 2 for 2 with monumental TV shows these past few years. Tell us about how it's like to work on Young Sheldon.
Another fine show. It's so funny and as important for me. It has a lot of heart, too. It's kind of a love letter to the people of Texas, I think. When I watch every episode, that's what I get out of it. And just damn funny. The kid is so great. Ian is so talented.
I love it. I love it. I have a podcast called Liftoff Journeys, and I always ask people if where they are today, if part of their journey was because of something that their parents did when they were younger. So your father was an Oscar-winning film actor. Was your father the inspiration for you wanting to be an actor?
100%. I'm convinced that if my dad had been a plumber, I'd be fitting pipe now. I just wanted to do what he did. And but having said that, I had everything else wrong. That is to say, he made it look so easy, and he's my dad. He's just doing it. I went, well, I can do that. Get me a series, get me on Wagon Train, get me on Perry Mason. I just wanted to be on a good show at the time. So I had this bad attitude, and I didn't even know it. I had kind of a wake me when I'm famous attitude. I hadn't done any work as an actor to train. I just thought I was kind of charming and I should be given a part. Of course, I didn't get anything. I went in a few interviews, and thank God I didn't get a part. I never would have worked and gotten that second job. So I finally went and got some training, and then I began to work, and I began to learn and get better.
I love it. You got to put in the work to get the success. And I think you've really done that, not just with your acting career, but also with your environmental support. You've got a line of environmentally friendly cleaning and pet products, Begley's Earth Responsible products. What was the inspiration for this line, and how did you get started in the environmental movement?
It started in 1970 with the first Earth Day. What really drew me in was the incredible smog, the horrible smog I lived with in LA. So after 20 years of that, somebody said, we're going to do something called Earth Day. I went, sign me up, because I know we got to clean up the air. I know we got to clean up the water. I'd seen the Santa Barbara oil spill happen off the coast of California. So I started doing everything I could. I started, recycling. I started composting. I became a vegetarian. and I started using non-toxic cleaning products. Back then, all I could afford was like baking soda and vinegar and water. You know, it was primitive, but it worked, and it was non-toxic, and I liked that. But then I went, there's got to be a better way. And a few health food stores started to carry some non-toxic products, but there wasn't a big selection. So I vowed one day I would try my hand in it. And I did. I got this wonderful partner, Mark Cunningham at Lab Clean. They have the best formulas. They're non-toxic, but most importantly, they clean as good as any Formula 409 or Windex, but without that ammonia, without those chlorinated hydrocarbons, whatever they have, those other cleaners. It's, you know, because you got your pets down on the ground, crawling around on the floor, putting their paws in their mouth. Same thing with our kids. Our babies are on the floor, our young ones crawling around, putting their fingers and toes in their mouth. You don't want to have any toxic chemical on that floor or anywhere in your kitchen. Get it out. There's a hazardous waste site under your sink. Get rid of it and get a non-toxic product from me or from any of the fine products. We're all in it together. And but mine are fine products, and you can just go Begley Cleaning at Amazon and you'll find it. And nowadays, there's many choices that you have before you that you can do on a very, very limited budget. Energy-saving thermostat, energy-saving light bulbs, ride a bike if weather and fitness permit, public transportation if it's available near you, home gardening, home composting, become a vegetarian. If you don't want to totally become a vegetarian, try it one day a week, meatless Mondays or something, and see how you feel. You might like it a second and third day. And those are 7 simple things you can do that you'll save money at too.
Yeah, I love it. Those are all great examples and so simple. There's no reason that every single person watching can't choose at least one, if not all of them, and try that and make a difference in the world. Ed, thank you so much for being on the show. It was a pleasure to have you on Liftoff. And let's all move forward and help the environment.
Thank you, Jane.
Next up, we move into the kitchen with help for the busy family. And who isn't busy these days? We've got top tips to get your whole family eating healthier, so stay with us. Busy parents, listen up. Celebrity chef Devin Alexander is here in live person. Devin is best known as the chef on NBC's The Biggest Loser. She joins us now in the family kitchen to help get more healthy food into your kids' bellies. And that is something that is an amazing accomplishment. Welcome, Chef Devin.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited.
I'm so thrilled to have you here because you have such a great story to tell. You've got a unique approach to healthy cooking, healthy eating, and it's actually led you to a 70-pound weight loss. So tell us more about that. How did you get there?
Well, I thought I didn't like vegetables as a kid, and I had 2 Italian grandmothers who taught me how to cook and get fat, as I like to say. But no, in all seriousness, I had such amazing memories with my grandmothers cooking amazing food, and I didn't like vegetables, which is messaged by a lot of parents. Like, you don't eat vegetables at one point, and then it's like, oh, you don't like vegetables, you didn't eat vegetables.
True.
So, and then even, having a child myself, I've noticed people, like I had her teething on broccolini and carrots and things, and people are like, is that real?
That's so smart.
I realized that when I tell my daughter why she wants to eat something, like spinach makes you strong and avocados give you a lot of energy, she's a lot more excited to do it. And then everybody saw this working so much on her and a lot of my clients. I wrote this book, The Land of Secret Superpowers Vegetables, to teach kids that they can be empowered if they choose to eat vegetables and then they choose to eat them.
I love that. I love that. I love that. So you brought some great food, and let's shift to the food. It seems counterintuitive, but you encourage the notion of actually playing with your food.
I do,
Tell us
playing games. So, for instance, so many times we stock our kids' play kitchens with the ice cream and the pizza and all the foods that we don't necessarily want them eating all the time. And then we sit them at the table after no fun has been around broccoli, and it's like, here, eat broccoli. So I say stock your kids' play kitchen with lots of all the produce you want them to learn about, and then some of the other stuff, a little bit, But so it's all fun. And then play games with them so there's no stress in your kitchen. So, for instance, you get to knock this butternut squash over with a beanbag.
Right. Right. Do I pretend it's somebody that I don't like or something right now?
You don't have
and am
to
I
do
going to
that.
be able to? Okay, this is going to be embarrassing if I miss.
You,
Oh my God. I knew it.
you have
I knew
to
I
take a
missed.
shot.
All right. but I didn't
Okay.
knock it over.
But
All
you
right,
had
well,
fun. Look, you
yeah.
had smiles.
And now I need to have more vegetables so I can get the
Now,
superpowers.
now you might want to eat
Yeah.
the squash. And then, so I encourage people, like I have these beads that are avocados and strawberries and carrots. And so make little bracelets and make that a fun thing instead of other, I mean, beads are great,
Yeah.
but getting vegetables in their life in a fun
I
way
love
is
it.
another thing. This is actually a miniature golf game that I encourage with really young kids that encourages kids to eat celery. You bristle into the mini golf hole
Nice.
with a celery stalk. And literally, my 2-year-old neighbor started eating celery for the first time when we played this for 10 minutes with a 2, 4, 5, and 6-year-old.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So this works for kids. Do you think it works with adults too?
No. No, I mean, obviously those kind of things, but I do have some tips for adults too.
Awesome. So you wrote this great book that's great for adults to read to kids. So you're motivating kids, you're getting the adults and the parents involved with this. And from there, even the adults and parents can probably start to live healthier lives as well. And I know you do a lot of weight loss coaching, but you don't call it weight loss coaching. You call it something else.
Boss body coaching.
Right. Which I love because we're two boss girls right here, right?
Exactly.
So,
Well, and it's the bosses who actually, let themselves go a lot because they're so busy doing so much. And the truth is, like, we know a lot of our presidents have worked out and a lot of people have worked out. So it's finding those ways. And a lot of it is like what you carry on the road, which, so I have some snacks here, like carry little containers of tomatoes because they don't, in the clamshell, because they don't need to be refrigerated. And honestly, I sometimes take a little container of salt with it or one of those salt packets, or they often have the salt packets on plans. And then things like nuts in these pre-packaged containers is the key because, again, if it's a whole thing of nuts, I admit it, I'll eat the whole thing of nuts. And then I love these olives. It's only 60 calories a pack. If you're craving the salty, it's, 60 calories and good brain health helps you. It's not going to keep you up at night like carbs will. And then dried fruit, although with the dried fruit, like watch that because you don't want to eat too much.
Right. So that was so amazing. We covered everything from your new book. What's the title again?
The Land of Secret Superpowers, Vegetables.
I love it. To games that we can play with our kids, to tips for traveling boss bodies, to just things we can do as adults. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. After the break, you need to stay tuned because we are going to give crying babies and especially their caregivers something to smile about. If you want to find out more about what I'm talking about, stick around. Our next guest is Apolline Deroche. She's the founder and CEO of a company called Capella. This fascinating AI company brings all caregivers peace of mind by, get this, translating the meaning of their baby's cries. And I need to know more immediately. So welcome to Liftoff, Apolline.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, I need to know right now, how did you get inspired to start a company that translates babies' cries?
It was actually a long journey. So I've always been very interested in technology. I've always been very interested in sound. And I wanted to use AI to do something good, to support people, empower people. And I feel like we have AI in all different parts of our lives today. We have tons of technology, but parenting was still kind of done using 20th century methods. And I wanted to change that. So that's how I started it. Talked to a lot of parents, identified what they need help with, and came across this amazing technology that had been, there had been a ton of researchers, academics working on it for years. And so I thought, let's try to make a company out of it. And we're building also other types of technology, but this is the first.
I'm sure parents and grandparents are dying to know who you are already partnering with or looking to partner with so they can start making their plans.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't want to build any baby monitor or anything like that. We're a software only company. And so we're looking to partner with these companies that have baby monitors or any type of hardware that is in your home and that could pick up a baby's cry and then run analysis and give you personalized insights. And then there's also a way to have it on your Alexa, your Google Nest. So we're also working on that so that, it can be on any device you have, basically.
Such an incredible concept. And I know when we were doing research on the hottest new and up and coming technologies, we came across yours and we were blown away by it. And I know that you have a very kind of aggressive product pipeline in the works as well. So you're working on the baby AI, but what else are you working on?
So the baby is really kind of the first place we're starting, but the vision of Capella is to do AI for sound more broadly, because we're all passionate about sound, and we're passionate about, helping people, making the world a more easy and manageable kind of place. And so we're working on other technologies for new parents, for example, sound generation and things like that, to help them interact with their babies, bond with their babies better, have peace of mind when they leave the baby with caregivers, nannies, etc. But then we're also looking and working on expanding into more markets. And this, can be a lot of different things. It can be pets, it can be industry, factory, just anything where we can get insights from listening, basically, or dealing with sound data, is what we're working on.
I love it. And a big thing that we believe in at Liftoff is helping the next generation of executives, especially women executives.
Yeah.
And on our last episode, we talked about that and how to connect them. So if people want to connect with you and help your business get off the ground and get this technology out into market faster, how should they get in touch with you?
So you can find me absolutely anywhere, LinkedIn, emailing. We have a website where you can also reach out to us on the website, on the Capella website. So yeah, I'd say the easiest is probably add me on LinkedIn or find me on Twitter, Instagram, any social media.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to be keeping an eye on this. It's amazing
you.
work. Thank you so much, Apolline, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Don't go away, because when we come back, we're going to show every single one of you out there how to be a great caregiver when those babies stop crying and grow up. Let you help understand the unspoken word as we teach you how to read their body language. I'm so looking forward to this. Our next guest is body language and communication expert and author Jess Ponce, here to tell us about how body language impacts our perception of pop culture events. Welcome, Jess.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited. And you hit on one of the key signs that we all read in people, and that is whether or not they're closing their body off. Now, when people listen, sometimes they're relaxed, and that's kind of okay. You just have to see whether or not they move, and you can also look at their eyes. Body language is more than just positioning, it's context, it's environment, and it's also tone, because we communicate with more than just words.
That is so fascinating. Tell me, how did you get into this and become a body language expert? Did you always have intuition about people, or what drove you here?
Well, that's a really good question. And I think on some level, I've been a student of communication my entire life. And part of that really goes back to when I was a child, because I had a really pronounced lisp. And I still have it. But what I had to do is I had to use other parts of my body so that I felt like I was understood. And I worked in television, I worked with hosts, and I coached people how to do either presentations or how to do interviews. And so through all this course of action and going to various schools and being certified as a coach, I've really focused on that.
I love it. I love it. Now, I know you're going to talk to us about celebrities and body language and the cues we can take, but I gotta think that you can use body language signals when you're at work, right?
Yes, absolutely. And so what is really interesting is that as people are going back to the office or being requested to be there 3 or 5 days a week, we're very different now in person than pre-pandemic, right? Because we have to fight against the instinct of what it was like to be in front of a computer, in front of a screen, because everybody was multitasking. At the same time, we also had to learn to focus, right? Because we had kids and cats and dogs and spouses in the background. So we have this sort of dual thing happening where we cannot multitask, and yet we've learned how to be focused, but not for very long.
That's really interesting. You see high profile people trying to master their body language who have never really expressed themselves authentically. Prince Harry, Britney Spears. Why are they trying now to be more authentic and to relate more to the audience? And are they ready to show their authentic selves?
Well, what's really interesting is that you have people who've been in front of the spotlight their entire lives. And the instance of Prince Harry, it was a formal sort of behavior that he had to exhibit. With other celebrities, Britney, it was also sort of controlled on some level, as we have learned, right? That you are a performer. I think when we talk about authenticity, we need to look at the other side of their personality. Okay, when we go back to childhood, the way we behaved in front of our parents was very different than the way we behaved in front of our friends or the way that we behaved in front of teachers. Now, all of those people are still you, but who is you in the relaxed state? So the reason I believe that we are becoming more and more relaxed is because of social media. So when I first started working in television and entertainment, everything had to be polished. Everything had to be professional. We were relaying information. The thing that we were not doing is connecting with the audience. And when you look at TikTok and you look at Instagram and all of these other things, if you mess up, it's no big deal. Suddenly I'm going like, oh, he or she is more real, right?
Yeah.
We don't want people to be over polished. So I think that trickles back up to celebrities who are creatures of pop culture.
So when you take the authenticity into the workplace, because Liftoff is all about the reality that you've got a work-life blend. Everything's kind of blended today. What would be the one piece of advice you would give somebody who was interviewing for a job with body language? Is it eye contact and not moving away from that established frame, or is there something else that somebody should do?
I think the number one thing that a person should do is engage. And the verbal and nonverbal work together. So an example would be, are you sort of leaning in? Are you looking at the individual? So it's not just about eye contact, it's about how you have eye contact, right? Because I grew up around nuns and they're famous for knowing, to have very, direct eye contact, but is there a smile? Is there a gleam? Is there something that says, hey, I'm comfortable with you, ask whatever you'd like? And also your words. How are you engaging that individual? Are you asking them questions? Are you showing interest? It's not just about a ping pong ball going back and forth.
Now, what's one thing that people should absolutely avoid? Crossing your hands? Probably not. Maybe. I don't know.
I think the one thing that people should really avoid is having papers in front of them or something that's going to distract from actually doing the interview. What we want to do is we want our body to be free. We want to be able to express with our hands. We want to be able to even be that moment where we're looking away from an individual so that we can connect back with them. But if you're sitting there and you've got something, and it could be your hands, or you've got a piece of paper in front of you, or you're holding a mug, you're actually giving your energy to this item. You're not giving the energy to the other person.
I never thought about that.
Yeah. It's a whole fascinating.
This is fascinating.
Yes.
We could talk for hours about this, and I'm probably going to write down a whole bunch of questions and get in touch with you and ask you more. But thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure.
This was so helpful. All right, I loved that, didn't you? Now, don't go running away. You might slip and fall. Sorry, bad dad joke. But seriously, if your back has ever been sore, Dr. Ken Hansra is coming up next to share his latest tips and insights with all of us. And everybody was just in the green room doing back exercises, so you're going to love this. Welcome back to Liftoff. Ken Hansraj, MD, author of Watch Your Back, which I read on the treadmill, no joke, is a spinal and orthopedic surgeon. Dr. Ken has appeared on CNN, CBS, Fox, NBC, ABC, NPR, and now we are so fortunate to have him here on Liftoff. Welcome, Dr. Ken.
Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you. It's nice to be with you.
Now, I have to tell the audience that before you came on set, we were all in the green room and you just were surrounded by everybody here doing back exercises and getting advice. So I know that this is going to be a very interesting conversation for all of our viewers. And you are most well known right now for your work on text neck, which I'm sure we could all guess what that is, but tell us a little bit more about it because I know I have it.
So text neck, we did a study where when your head is straight up, it weighs 10 pounds. And as you lean forward incrementally, it exerts more and more forces to 60 degrees, 60 pounds. And this is a problem that's affecting younger and younger people more and more.
What is your recommendation for how we prevent this as adults or with our kids? And how do you combat text necks?
Combating text neck. So I love technology. I love the fact that I can text all my friends all over the world and say, I love my coffee with Jeannie, like that, immediately. So to combat, I say keep your head up. Watch where your head is at all times. Open up your shoulders, which is proper posture, and hold your phone in front of you. You have eyes, so you could look down, right? You don't need to do this. So just head up,
Yeah.
shoulders back, phone in front of you.
As you're talking, I'm sitting straighter up just so that I can make sure that I'm focused on that as well. And I think that's great advice. But you're also a principal author of a key medical study around belly fat forces on the spine, too. Also very interesting. And that was released this year. So tell the audience more about that.
So we followed the Dallas Heart Study. They did a study where they calculated the masses of belly fat in thousands of people, and we collaborated with them, and we converted the masses to forces. So now we have an algorithm in my new book, Watch Your Back. You could see it, which is if your waist is 30 inches, if your waist circumference 30, you may have maybe 36 pounds of force to your spine. 50, 75 pounds and things like that. So we can tell you how many pounds of force you have on your spine based on your waist circumference.
Oh,
First time ever, yeah. We went over 9 strategies in my book, Watch Your Back. And so then certainly deep belly breathing is amazing. So when you breathe deeply, you're moving the spinal nerves and the spinal channel. And our third biggest strategy is move. Always move. Move your neck, move your shoulders, move your lower back, move your hips, move your knees. Constantly move. And so you touched on our topic of fashion on the spine. So you need to be aware that if you're in high heels all day, or if you're wearing tight jeans or skinny jeans or the pencil skirts or restrictive clothing, you're more than likely going to develop back pain. And a lot of people, they carry these heavy purses and then they wonder why they have neck pain, right? And their heavy necklaces just pull you down into poor posture.
Yeah, that's so true. And I've had those pains before, and now I know what they came from. This was such great advice for everybody watching the show. I really appreciate you coming on, Dr. Ken. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
That was so much delicious, inspiring, and educational fun today. Don't you agree? I am so thrilled and grateful that you've taken this journey with us. I really hope that you found our guests exciting and share the information that you've learned to help improve your own or someone that you know's personal or professional life. But you know what? We're just getting started. We've lined up even more great episodes for you this season with guests covering topics on all those areas you wished you knew about. Stay tuned for the best content that's going to talk about how you can build your own personal or professional brand, build a business, what the hottest technology is, mental wellness strategies, healthy living, lifestyle, financial success, and more. There's so much. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Liftoff TV Show or Liftoff with Jeanniey Walden, because we've got great tips and resources there for you that get updated all the time. I'm Jeanniey Walden. See you next time.
The proceeding was sponsored by Liftoff Enterprises, LLC.